Hey, it's me, Riker. Today we're going to have a look at the brand new hypogean hero, Kalthin, the Purgatory Painter. Now, this hero wears plate-based gear, is part of the warrior class, and his primary role is to provide a significant amount of control and be able to solo carry your team to victory. Now, this hero here is similar to Lucretia, but much stronger. Now, this hero is made up of 4 different attacks. His normal attacks, which is the character in the middle. And then we have his whip, tentacles, or his doom brushes. These are these 4 little whips that are surrounding him. Now, that is where the majority of his damage will come from striking the enemy with these little whips over here. Then we have his bleed and his execute based ability. So let's get into his skills and see how each of them will affect the enemy. So let's start off with the ultimate ability. Kalthin extends his doom brushes, so those are his whips, damaging several enemy heroes while imprinting them with martyrs engravings, which reduces the target's buffer by 30 points. Kalthin then pulls the targets close to him and stuns them. So this is a screen-wide pull, so even if the enemy is standing on the opposite edge of the battlefield, they will be immediately pulled to Kalthin over here. Now he'll pull the furthest targets. Now because this hero walks into melee range, he'll usually be fighting at least 1 or 2 heroes at a time. However, when he uses this ultimate, he pulls an additional 3 enemies on top of it. Level 2. For every doom brush extended when no escape is used, Kalthin gains 12 points of erosion and 20% damage reduction for 8 seconds. So this is a bit of built-in damage reduction for him. The level 3, the minimum number of doom brushes from no escape is increased to 4. So that means he can use all 4 of his whips over here. And in addition, at the start of battle, Kalthin gains 500 energy points. So from here we can see that he can immediately start controlling the enemies by grouping them together and immediately nuking the enemies down within a couple of seconds in battle. So his next ability, Vicious Crush. This is a passive and an active component. Kalthin's normal attacks can knock enemies back. Each normal attack hit permanently steals 2 points of the enemy's attack speed. So essentially this is a buff for him and a debuff for the enemy hero, making the enemy slower. So this will allow Kalthin to survive for much longer because they cannot attack as frequently. In this way, Kalthin can gain up to 30 points of attack speed and enemies can lose up to 50 points of attack speed as well. Level 2. Each attack steals 3 points of the enemy's attack speed. The level 3, Kalthin can gain up to 60 points of attack speed. And the level 4, there is no limit on the attack speed that enemies can lose, slowing them down to such a point where they will no longer be able to attack Kalthin. So let's have a look at his next ability, Frenzied Stains. Now this is where the majority of his damage comes from this singular ability. Kalthin waves his Doom Brush, dealing 6 strikes of damage equal to 100% of his attack rating to enemies within range and knocking back nearby enemies. Each strike will also restore 5% of his health loss, so this is a bit of self-healing. The skill's speed is not affected by haste, but the number of strikes increases based on the amount of attack speed Kalthin has seized with Vicious Crush. So this is this ability over here, each time he hits an enemy, up to a maximum of 9 strikes. So as we can see, this increased from 6 to 9 strikes. Level 2, Kalthin gains 85% damage reduction for the duration of this skill. So as this is a continuous based ability, he'll get a significant amount of damage reduction from frenzied strikes and his ultimate ability as well. Level 3, every 4 strikes, the skill inflicts extra health loss. Now this is the bleed effect, so this is extra damage on top of the damage he's currently doing, equal to 200% of Kalthin's attack rating. And the 30 engravings, every 3 strikes, the skill inflicts extra health loss equal to 240% of Kalthin's attack rating. So this is 200 all the way to 240%. So this is an extra bleed-based effect. Let's have a look at his next ability, Agony Legacy, which has a passive and an active component. For every instance of health lost he causes, so that is damage inflicted on the enemy, Kalthin permanently increases his attack rating by 3% and attack speed by 2 points, stacking up to 10 times. So this is 30% attack rating and 20 points of attack speed. When a target is far away, Kalthin leaps with his Doom Brush and rapidly approaches them. Upon landing, Kalthin deals damage equal to 250% of his attack rating to nearby enemies. So this is an AoE based ability. Level 2. For every instance of health lost he causes, Kalthin permanently increases his attack rating by 5% and attack speed by 2 points. Level 3. Kalthin is immune to control effects while leaping. So this is his dash across the screen. Upon landing, he deals damage to nearby enemies and knocks them into the air. So this is a bit of extra control and utility that he can provide for his teammates. And the 60 engravings, for every instance of health lost he causes, Kalthin permanently increases attack rating by 8% and attack speed by 4 points. So if you multiply this by 10, this is 80% of attack rating boost that he can provide to himself, and he can get 40 points of attack speed on top of the extra attack speed from Vicious Crush. So this is 70 points of attack speed that he can gain. So essentially he will be one-shotting enemies within a couple of strikes as soon as he walks onto battle. So let's have a look at his signature item. Now when you unlock Gory Splash, the damage from each strike of Frenzied Stains, so this is his Doom Brushes or his whips each time he's damaging the enemies, is increased to 120% of Kalthin's attack rating. So that is 100 to 120. The level 10 unlock, damage from each strike of Frenzied Stains is increased to 150%. And now this is the important one, or the important buffs that he gains. The level 20 and level 14, the maximum number of strikes from Frenzied Stains is increased to 12 strikes. So this is a massive amount of damage that he can inflict on the enemy target. Now, because this is multiple strikes, he can hit the enemies multiple times using a single ability. The 30 unlock, the skill Frenzied Stains will impose another Martyr's Engravings on the target. And the 40 unlock, the maximum number of strikes from Frenzied Stains is increased to 15. Additionally, Kalthin is immune to controls for the duration of the skill. So as we can see, he gets a massive amount of damage reduction, 85% damage reduction. And in addition to this, he also becomes immune to control-based effects. So let's have a look at his furniture right over here. His ultimate ritual. For the duration of Martyr's Engravings, if the target has changed position within 1 second, they will suffer health loss equal to 300% of Kalthin's attack rating. The farther the distance traveled, the greater the health loss, up to a maximum of 360% of Kalthin's attack rating. And his 9 out of 9, which is the execute based ability. Now this is a little bar that appears on the enemy's health bars, and if an enemy reaches that particular threshold, they will be immediately executed by this 9 out of 9 unlock. If the enemy's health percentage is lower than 15% when Martyr's Engravings ends, the enemy will be butchered. The health reduction from butchery cannot exceed 800% of Kalthin's attack rating. Every time Kalthin slays an enemy hero, his attack rating is permanently increased by 20%. So as we can see, he can gain a massive amount of attack rating buff. So this is 80% from his other ability, plus this one right over here, which is a grand total of 160% increase to his attack rating. So that means this buff is permanent, unlike Lucretia's, which is a temporary buff, and he can remain with this buff for the entire duration of battle. So let's have a look at how he does in much higher level deficits. So we're going to start off with these enemies over here, Arena Guardian. So I'm going to place him right in front with no supporting allies or any other allies to benefit him, and we will see how powerful this hero is. So as soon as he walks onto battle, he will immediately leap onto the enemies and start slashing with his Doom whips over here. As we can see, he failed to pull the enemies because they were immune to control effects. However, he's currently gaining his buffs As we can see, he one-shotted a couple enemies, pulled the enemies together, and one-shotted the rest of the enemy heroes. Now this over here is a 290 level deficit. And in all of these battles, in many cases, he's out damaging the other damage dealer, and he's also taking a significant amount of incoming damage for his allies onto himself. So in this battle over here, he's out damaging the awakened Chimera. Now he's very close to beating the awakened Eugene. However, awakened Eugene does screen-wide damage. However, Kalthin over here does single target damage over here, and he's still able to keep up with the other allied heroes. And also, unlike Eugene, who's standing in the back, protected by all of his frontline allied heroes, Kalthin over here is front and center, dealing massive hits to the enemy targets. So let's have a look at this battle over here. Now, in this one over here, we can see that he's out damaging the awakened Laika in the same battle over here. So let's have a look at how he does. So when he walks onto battle, he'll immediately leap onto the enemy targets. Now he's immune for a couple of seconds. Now as we can see, he's on low health over here. Now he'll slowly heal himself up, and we'll see that he'll be able to one-shot a couple of allies within a couple of seconds of battle. So as we can see, he's going to kill these targets over here. He's killed that one target, he's killed two targets, and we can see that the enemy target has been marked with the Butcher's mark. Now if the enemy reaches that mark, he will instantly be able to one-shot the enemy target. Now he's fighting an extremely tanky target, so this might take a bit of time. There we go. He's now using his ultimate-based ability. This is the triangle that forms around him, and this is where he's able to pull the furthest enemy targets closer towards him. There we go. And the battle has finished. So what is the minimum investment that I would recommend into this allied hero? Now I would highly recommend getting the maximum amount of investment. That includes the 30 signature item, 9 out of 9 furniture, as both of them synergize extremely well. Both of the execute, the additional damage, and the massive amount of extra damage coming from his whips, which is the main source of his damage from frenzied stains. Now we will have to wait and see how well he performs in game modes such as Nightmare Corridor and Cursed Realm, as this will determine how effective the 40 signature item will be. However, the minimum I recommend is at least the 30 signature item. Now I would highly recommend getting his 30 and his 60 engravings, as this gives him a massive amount of buff in terms of damage, as this goes from 5% of attack rating boost and 2 points of attack speed all the way to 8%. So this can be a total of 80% attack rating buff for this allied hero, and this is a massive amount of damage that he can essentially give to himself, so he can inflict it back onto the enemy. Now this attack speed is extremely powerful, as this essentially makes him more effective, allows him to hit enemy targets much faster during battle, as most of his abilities synergize between his frenzied stains, which is his whip-based attacks, and his normal attacks being Vicious Crush. Now his entire kit synergizes extremely well. He has a lot of damage reduction, self-healing, self-buffs, and he's easily able to carry your team to victory.